welcome to Best Laid Plans. This is your host, Sarah Hart-Unger, and this is the podcast where we talk all things planning and planning adjacent. And today, I hope I can make the case for planning in fun. Things I've heard around planning and fun are the idea that maybe planning removes some of the fun from, fun. The idea that serendipity might be a more ideal thing to strive for than planned in fun. Or the idea that planning might mean that you just can't really be spontaneous and it causes a loss of some kind. And today I will share my thoughts on those questions. But first, I do want to make a couple of announcements about Best Laid Plans Academy 2.0, which has been a great joy and fun for me to run this time around, in which I'm so excited to be opening up for its second run in fall of this season, fall of 2026. The classes will run from September to November, so it'll be like a back to school for planning. And the reminder for this and the registration information will go out in my newsletter this week. It should be in your inboxes this Friday, which is July 24th. And just to remind people of what Best Laid Plans Academy 2.0 is, it is an 8-week group interactive course that goes through all of the elements of a successful planning and life management system. It's 8 sessions total, and the first couple kind of center around not specific time horizons, but more like ideal calendar management, task management. You're building your second brain, as Tiago Forte likes to say. And then once we've got those fundamentals set, each session focuses on a time horizon from yearly planning all the way down to daily. I'm 5/8 of the way through this cohort right now, and I have to say, I love the new format. I think it's more streamlined. I think the homework has been challenging for participants, but I've already gotten feedback that they've really changed their perspective on time, and some people feel like they have been able to move forward on goals that had been really struggling with them for a long time. So that makes me so happy. The course is space limited because I'm there doing the sessions live. There is a back and forth where people ask questions and there's participation. Plus, there's feedback on all the assignments where people will email me things and I will write back to them. And in order for me to be available for everyone on the course, I cannot make them unlimited size groups. So if you are interested in joining this cohort, please sign up early. We did sell out for the very first summer group, and I hope that we have a wonderful group for this one as well, but I can't make it too big. So anyway, just very excited to welcome some of you to Best Laid Plans Academy 2.0 this fall. If you have questions about it, let me know. But all the registration details will be in my newsletter coming out this week on Friday. All right, back to fun. Not that planning courses aren't fun. I mean, I have a lot of fun teaching them, and I believe from looking around at people smiling and the connections that are being made in the group, I think people are finding it fun, but there are different types of fun. Okay, so you guys know I love to do my planning in categories. So when I set down to do my yearly planning or my seasonal planning or my monthly planning, I will have a category called personal and one called family and often one called home, things like that. And in the last year or two, I have added a category called fun because I think I've just up-leveled my, commitment to intentionally making space for fun things in my life, things that actually do require advanced planning and thought and weighing pros and cons and thinking about what works. And really that's planning. So hopefully today I will make a good case for why you should include a category or at least a kind of layer, an audit around fun when you are setting goals for any given time frame. So first of all, I thought I'd kind of address this from the negative angle. Why do people struggle fitting fun into their plans, or why do people not want to plan fun to begin with? Planning sometimes has a very serious connotation, and people think of it more as it comes to personal development or goal setting or making some kind of productivity or moving forward with something at work. But people are sometimes resistant to making plans that are purely just for the sheer joy of doing it. One reason that I've heard a few times is that people will feel worried about being locked into something. So they feel like if I plan this fun activity, I won't be able to cancel it or will feel like I am too tied down to that thing. And I just might not feel like doing it when the moment comes around. And I think that's fair. On an extreme case, you might be sick and not able to participate in the thing that you planned, or maybe you just totally don't feel like it. But the truth is that even if most of the time you do feel like doing what you want to do, you can still make the plan, but with an air of flexibility. You can plan loosely if it makes you uncomfortable to feel like you're entirely locked in, because that gives you the option of doing something and the forethought of the idea that you might do something that you'd enjoy. And then if you do decide to change your mind, you have the freedom to do so. I mean, of course, you always have the freedom to do so. The consequences are going to vary, but you can always change your mind. I will say I do this with reservations sometimes. I will, if I'm planning some kind of family trip and I know one night that we might not want to go to a specific restaurant, like there's a chance we'll end up wandering or not even wanting to eat a real meal because maybe our prior meal will have gone too late. But I'd rather have an option of somewhere that we could go, that we might use and might not use, versus having nothing planned out and then possibly being in the situation where we're like, uh-oh, everything's full and now I don't know what to do and I don't have any ideas. So you can make plans, most types of plans, with the idea that you might cancel them if necessary, or even just if it's not necessary, but if you feel like it. You do, of course, have to be considerate. You wouldn't want to book a party of 20 in a tiny restaurant and then call them 30 minutes prior and cancel. Probably that would not be nice, and it probably could even cost you monetarily. So you would want to pay attention to cancellation policies as well. If you're booking flights that are in advance to go on some kind of a fun trip and you know you might actually change your mind a few months down the road, then you sure better book those ones that are refundable or exchange for credit if that makes you just as happy as well. I tend to have gotten to the point where I try to make most of the things I book back outable in some way, shape, or form, even if I don't plan on doing so, because it helps with the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is the fact that people worry about planning things because they feel like they'll be disappointed if things can't happen, or they'll be in trouble financially or commitment-wise. Like if you booked a cruise and then something happens and there's no way to cancel it, you can be out a lot of money and not able to travel in the future and be really sad. But the thing is, most of these types of things, like trips and fun events with family, they're not going to happen if they're not planned. So your chance of doing them may not be 100% if you plan them, but if you don't plan them, your chance of doing them is going to be very low. Like it's going to be unlikely that someone's going to just wake up and be like, hey, I booked you 5 tickets to where you want to go tomorrow. And they're all there and, you can leave now, and you get what I'm saying. And of course, there are kind of interesting things where people can get awesome deals last minute, especially if they're flexible. But there still might be a planning element there. Like maybe you do decide that you're going to do like a mystery trip with your family, but you still need to figure out when you're off of work and make arrangements for that, maybe make arrangements for pet care or whatever else planning would need to go around being available to travel at that given place or time. Because it's not like most people can, on the spur of a moment, decide to leave the state or country with job and family types of responsibilities. So yeah, my thought is that, yes, I get that disappointment. I mean, I feel you. I have canceled a lot of really exciting things that I was looking forward to in recent months, and there is disappointment there. But if I let that prevent me from booking my next trip to Hawaii, then I would never go. So I would say try to get past that. And again, this is where being strategic about the types of plans you make, especially when it comes to travel or experiences that cost money, to make sure that you would be able to reverse them if you had to. All right, so number 3 is kind of interesting. People might worry about making plans for fun because maybe something more fun will come along and then they'd feel tied up and unable to switch without making somebody feel bad. I mean, I think we have to acknowledge this is very much on a spectrum. If you have dinner with neighbors planned and all of a sudden you get invited to play the guitar on stage with your favorite band, like you could cancel with your friends and they would probably understand if you were honest. Or maybe there'd be an option 3 that would enable you to tie various plans together, like your friend could come watch the concert where you're performing up on stage with the band. I mean, this is kind of a silly example, but I guess my point is it would be pretty rare for something so exciting that it really would knock your initial plans out of whack, or that you couldn't come up with kind of a compromise solution. And then if something really, really important for your job or for your life came up, most of the times, then you could move or change your plans. Again, I think sometimes thinking of plans as too fixed, as too like immutable and just inflexible can There's a fine line here because if you are really loosey-goosey with your plans and you end up canceling everything or canceling for kind of unclear reasons, then you may miss out on a lot of things because we don't always feel exactly like doing whatever we've signed up to do in that moment. And then sometimes if you do it anyway, you're very happy that you did. But at the same time, seeing it as 100% unchangeable, I think can really prevent you from moving forward. So finding that middle ground is very helpful. And then finally, the last reason that some people resist making plans for fun is that they just don't feel like it's necessary because they feel like, you know what, fun things will come to us. And that might be true. And it might be true because honestly, this is where planning privilege comes in a bit. Maybe someone is kind of planning in their fun for them and therefore they don't have to, which is actually fine if it works out that way and everybody's happy. That is great. But they still might want to self-reflect that planning takes some effort and someone is probably driving that planning bus. Or they are just falling into defaults that require no planning. But in this day and age, those defaults are likely like on a screen. They may be kind of isolating. They might be kind of fun in the moment, but not leaving us with many big memories. Like playing a video game is kind of great and it's a default option and it doesn't cost much. Well, I guess it depends. My kids seem to always be asking for money to buy things on video games. So even that's not necessarily the most cost-effective hobby. But you get what I'm saying. It's not necessarily going to be the kind of thing that you look back on later and say, wow, that was a wonderful use of that day, week, month of my life. All right, so that was all very negative, and we're going to get to the positive after a quick break. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Prep Dish. Everyone is looking for simple solutions this time of year, and if you haven't tried Prep Dish yet, it is the perfect time to simplify dinner. Prep Dish entirely removes the mental load out of planning dinner and provides efficient and super balanced meals for every week. Here's how it works. Every week, you receive a full week's dinner plan in your email, complete with shopping list. There are now also Instacart links to make it even easier to shop if you like to shop that way, or of course, you can take their printable list to your favorite grocery store. Then all of the prep work is laid out for you and each of the weeknight dinners come together so quickly. You do the cooking, but someone else has done the thinking in a very strategic way. I love that. To try out Prep Dish at no cost, go to prepdish.com/plans to activate your trial. In addition to the super fast menus that I love, they're ready in 30 minutes or less typically, Prep Dish also has gluten-free, paleo, and low-carb options, so there's truly something for everyone. Again, that's prepdish.com/plans for your first 2 weeks free. If you try it, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Today's episode is brought to you with support from IXL, a learning platform that helps support kids in all settings, including homeschool. With schedules that vary, you need summer learning tools that meet you where you are, and you want to ensure that you have ways to keep kids confident with the skills they have before the next school year begins. IXL helps homeschool families maintain steady progress without feeling rigid or overwhelming, and we've used it in our house for years during the summer to keep skills fresh for the next academic level. Everything is organized by grade and subject, so you can quickly find what each child needs without juggling multiple resources. And it's really designed well to keep kids engaged with celebrations, awards, and visible progress markers. I know my 8-year-old is excited to use IXL this summer to ensure she's fully ready for 3rd grade. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Best Laid Plans listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/plans. Visit IXL.com/plans to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. Today's episode is brought to you with support from Green Chef. In my opinion, the very best nutrition strategy is to make the healthy options also the easy ones. It's one thing to have elaborate plans to follow some health trend, but it's another thing entirely to have healthy food on hand ready to go that already meets your nutritional goals. Green Chef is a fantastic way to make your healthy lifestyle easy. With Green Chef, every week you get access to over 40 recipes made with organic produce, responsibly sourced proteins, and no ingredients you can't pronounce. They have meals that come pre-portioned and are ready in minutes. And if you want extra nutrition support, they include free, unlimited one-on-one coaching that helps you stay on track. Green Chef is also the only certified clean meal kit, as tested by the Clean Label Project, and the most sustainable meal kit with 20% less food waste and 100% offset delivery emissions. I personally love it when we have a Green Chef week at our house. It means that healthy and delicious meals are just ready to go. No additional mental load required. Head to greenchef.com/food 50BESTLAID and use code 50BESTLAID to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months. That's code 50BESTLAID at greenchef.com/50BESTLAID. All right, in today's episode, we are talking about the case for planning fun. And we just discussed some of the things people will say against planning fun, the idea that they don't want to feel locked in, the idea they worry about being disappointed, the idea that they might have something better come along, and the idea that they just don't really need to because the fun tends to come to them. And I think there's always a little bit of truth in all of these things. But as I discussed, I think there can be kind of a middle ground found between kind of the flip side and also being incredibly rigid with our plans so that we see them as entirely locked in. So what are the positive arguments for going ahead and planning in fun? Well, first of all, when we make plans to connect with other people and do fun things with them, then logically, we're going to be spending more time with people we love. And statistically, we know that makes people happier. As Laura Vanderkam likes to say, people are a good use of time. And I've even, heard those discussions of people, on their deathbed and sharing regrets, and nobody regrets spending time with friends and family. Everybody wishes they had spent more time with friends and family. So it's something that you're going to be happy to have done. The second is, if you put some forethought into what types of media you will consume, what types of events you will go to, just a little bit of thought, then you're less likely to kind of be dragged around by kind of the algorithms and the defaults that are so ever present in our society today. Someone will try to give you a sort of fun if you don't seek it out yourself. But again, it tends to be that kind of emptier fun. So in some ways, I think it's more important now than ever to make active choices about what we want to do with our leisure time, whether it's consuming things, going out to see things, or connecting with other people. And then finally, and this is kind of similar, but you're just more likely to go out and experience more varied things in life, to go out into nature, to see more people, to experience more wonder if you have taken the time to think about the logistics of making those things happen. So hopefully all of this together has convinced you to spend some time actively planning in fun. So how do you do that? Well, I do a lot of discussion about planning and how to make realistic but thorough planning rituals at each time horizon, meaning yearly planning, seasonal planning, monthly planning, weekly planning, and even daily planning. So I decided that I would think through where fun fits in to each of these time horizon levels. All right, so on a yearly level, and just to refresh you, I recommend spending a really nice chunk of time planning your year, either by yourself or with a partner in a structured format. It can be with me, of course, doing your Best Laid Plans live or Best Laid Plans at home, or it can just be informal, but I just hope that most people make a quality time date with themselves or with their friends to plan their year. And that's when you can plan in big fun. You can look ahead to travel, like those more, expensive in terms of time and money types of fun that you have to actually plan ahead for to see where they will fit. That might be going to visit family. It might be going to a bucket list place in nature or destination. It might be attending a big events. Like this is when you would think, oh, this might be the year I'm turning 40 and I'm going to go to the Super Bowl this year. That's going to be my year to embrace this big fun, or to go to this concert tour. This might be a time to think through holidays and whether it might make sense to travel or make a big celebration out of a milestone birthday or a holiday. You're really looking at the calendar as a whole and kind of thinking about how to budget, in effect, your big fun for the year, the things that would most light you up. I always love to tell people to look back on the year and pretend they're looking at the year from the end of the year. And if they were kind of thinking about what the year was shaped like, what lights them up when they think about the experiences that they had in an imaginary way. And the things that come to mind, well, that's the fun that's worth planning. So that's what planning at a yearly level, looking at fun, looks like. On a seasonal level, you kind of have a sense of the months coming up within a given season. And this is a time frame where it would make sense to plan in shorter trips, maybe a weekend away with a partner or to visit friends, where you might look at the upcoming holidays and think about how you might make them fun and celebratory, whether you might lean into like really seasonal fun, like many people love to make summer fun lists or winter fun lists, etc. So you could make a specific seasonal fun list that leans into those different changes that as we see time going by, and that can be really, really fun. Or maybe you're just making loftier plans about learning something that sounds really fun and exciting, or challenge yourself to do a craft or hobby that fits in with the season. So that would make sense on a seasonal level in terms of planning in fun. Then we're getting a little bit smaller. The monthly level is the level where I think it's just perfect for planning in social fun. You have enough understanding of your calendar that this is the kind of time frame where it makes sense to think about a dinner out with friends, or hosting neighbors, or even making a phone call, a little walk and talk with a friend. So that monthly level is wonderful for getting together with others and planning in connection that is fun. And I also think it can be a great time for looking at local lower key media, like what movies are coming out this month, or are there any shows coming to the theater near us, or local bands, or things like that, and then getting them on the calendar. Monthly can also be great for thinking about nature things that fit in with the weather, for building in relaxing fun, like getting a massage or a mani-pedi, or even scheduling time to do crafts, or again, some kind of personal challenge, like maybe you're planning to run a 5K or something like that. Now we're drilling down to the weekly level. So weekly level, we're getting smaller, but I hope that most people can audit the week ahead as they're doing the planning and make sure that there's kind of something in it for you. And again, if you've already planned one of those things that are bigger, like you've got a weekend trip coming up, then great, it's already done. You planned that at the seasonal level, check. But if it's not a week with something special like that built in, you can plan in some smaller fun scaled to the weekly time frame. Like maybe you text a friend and say, want to meet for dinner on Thursday night. Maybe you just look ahead at, ooh, I'm excited about this new Netflix show coming out, and we can start watching it as a family together. Maybe you could throw a really low-key social event or play date with kids on the weekend, or you could throw in something like a walk on a nature trail after work, or just something really relaxing and restful on a weekend. And then finally, the smallest level is daily fun. And as you spend that 5 to 10 minutes planning your day, hopefully you can just take a second to think about things up ahead in the day that kind of spark joy for you. And I did that exercise for myself for today. And just off the top of my head, my daily fun today has included my New York Times games. I did get the connection puzzle with purple first today, so that was definitely fun. I chatted with a friend on like a walk and talk. And tonight, I'm looking forward to playing the piano for a little bit and then watching another episode of Little House on the Prairie with my kids that's out on Netflix. So, it's all low key, but even as I planned my day this morning, I had little sparks of fun that I get to look forward to. And by doing that, we're kind of building the practice of paying attention to these little positives, and we're more likely to build them into our day. So I think they kind of pay off twofold. I also will give a shout out to looking back on fun to really make the most of it. That might mean building a photo album dedicated to a specific memorable vacation, or lower key, just like printing out a picture of something cute that happened and putting it in your 5-year journal. Or people keep little gratitude calendars where they'll notice one good thing that happened during the day and write it down, or maybe some little seasonal touch that they noticed, like, oh, pink flowers bloomed today. And then I know some people love to do gratitude practices, and they could really center around fun altogether if you wanted to. 3 fun things I noticed today or I did this week. Finally, the last thing I wanted to mention is that fun has many flavors, and I think people should make sure to do what's fun for them. And I think people should think about the different kinds of fun and ensure that they're really considering all the options when they're planning in fun. And just off the top of my head, we've got family fun. You have solo or solitary fun, romantic fun or fun with a friend, productive fun that might be about learning or getting a really cool project done that you're excited about, relaxing fun, maybe getting a massage or taking a nap in the sun with a book, active fun, adventurous fun, and I'm sure there are like many, many more flavors of fun above and beyond the ones that I just mentioned. So I guess I'm going to end this episode, but I implore you, and I would love to hear what people are doing to plan in fun for today, for the week, for the month, for the season, and of course, for the year. I'd love to know if people have rituals around planning in fun, and if there's a story of someone who struggled to plan in fun and then was able to start doing it, I would love to hear that as well. So I hope this episode has been motivating for you to get more things that bring joy to your life into your calendar, even if it means sometimes coping with disappointment, or the fact that something else might come wrong, or the fact that maybe we won't feel like doing exactly what we planned. I really believe that overall, it is worth it to spend the time and thought intentionally bringing this type of fun into our lives. And I'd love to hear how you go about it. So that is our episode for today. I'll be back next week with more planning content, maybe a review. We will see if my order arrives in time to make that happen. And again, just a final reminder, if you're interested in Best Laid Plans Academy 2.0, that information will all be in my newsletter that comes out on Friday this week, all the registration info, and you can always email me with questions. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a fun and wonderful week.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.